This is a collection of tips after 20 years welding cars. To hold small pieces of steel in place, I sometimes use a magnet. It's easiest to leave the new piece oversized and cut after welding. I use this technique sometimes to help keep things straight. The extra material will resist the bending that occurs when welding due to weld shrinkage. I always use zinc weld-through primer on lap joints. When replacing a welded section, sometimes you can use it as a template to scribe around. These are the best tin snips I have come across by far. Well worth the money in my opinion. I've had them for years and use them every day, but they are great at keeping the cut material out of the way without lots of distortion. I use worn out needle files as scribers, as the hardness of the file is an ideal material for a scriber. As I'm plug welding a lot of the time, I have a dedicated fly press for punching 8mm holes. This is way faster than drilling and no deburring is necessary. The fly press allows for holes to be punched further into the panel than a handheld version, and it's easier. I found that 8mm is the best size for a successful plug weld. Any smaller and you will start to have some failures. Between tacking, I cool areas down with air, but I wait for it to cool a little first as I don't want any embrittlement through air quenching. It's important to clean the other side of the butt welded joint. This makes for a better weld, but not cleaning results in fire. Fire is an oxidation process and it will very quickly rust the welded area. If you don't want rust, then don't allow fire. Here I have welded in a floor repair section and the plug weld into the seat rails has been completed and cooled before any tacking or butt welding to the perimeter of the repair section. The reason for this is the shrinkage caused by the plug welding will add to the shrinkage problem if done any other way. This technique can be employed in other situations. Reducing the amount of shrinkage is always beneficial to overall distortion. A product I use to protect the welded repair is Hydrate 80 from Built Hamber. It provides a barrier to stop rust formation, but the film thickness is very thin. This allows you to see if any rust is forming. I've had situations in the past using etch primer where rust has started forming but is hidden underneath the paint surface. Hydrate 80 is too thin for rust to be missed. I don't use Hydrate 80 or Cure Rust as a rust cure because it isn't, despite being advertised as such. I only use it on clean steel. When tiny repair sections are needed, you can cut the shape into a piece of steel but leave a very small section uncut. Once tacked, simply break off the small section. When clamps are not viable, you can hold a new panel in place with self-tapping screws. I punch the holes and drive the screw in with an impact driver to speed things up.